So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our Curry Era rebuild series, and today it's going to be the Orlando Magic. This Magic team was not very good. They only won 29 games throughout the 2016-17 regular season, and ultimately were looking for an identity because the two best players on this team, in Nikola Vucevic and Serge Ibaka, were both in their mid to late 20s. They didn't really have a face of the franchise, if you will. Of course, fast forward to today, they're doing a whole lot better with Paolo and Franz, but back about 8-9 years ago, this was a very, very lost and confused franchise. So our goal today is to pick a direction, hopefully get this team to a championship. Just to clarify, I meant win a championship. Cool, same page, got it. All right, you guys are going to notice a few things before we get into this video. If you've been watching this series with me so far throughout 2K25, you will know that the Curry era is a real era and something they put into 2K25 for the first time alongside some of the other ones. Now, the Curry era, unfortunately, in 2K, has some pretty bad rosters because 2K doesn't have the rights to all of the former players that were in the league and on these teams at this time. I have found a custom roster. I'll explain it a little bit more once we get into it, but I'm excited because I think we can do some of the teams that we've been intentionally delaying now because, of course, we didn't have some of the star players. So excited about this one today. Hang with me. There's probably going to be a few bumps in the road. As always, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. Good to be back for video number 2 after my little short break. So excited for it. Let's get into it. Okay, so as you can see, there's probably not a lot that jumps out at you about this being a different roster, if you will, right off the rip anyways. As you can see, we're here starting at the beginning of the 2016-17 season, which is exactly identical to how the Curry era actually works. However, the rosters are a little bit different. We're no longer missing some pretty notable names. I will say, of course, this doesn't really affect us here in Orlando, but the Curry era rosters that are actually in 2K didn't have, Bradley Beal. They didn't have Blake Griffin. A lot of other notable names, and kind of the reason I've been intentionally delaying these videos. So here you can see, we'll go over the full thing. I'll kind of scroll through it in just a second. There's not a lot that's really missing or a lot that's incorrect factually. I did go through it, but this was the closest one I could find. I have now spent a total of about 2 hours looking for a perfect roster, so I'm happy and glad to say that I finally found one. And unfortunately, when you spend as much time looking for an accurate roster as I do not take down the names of every single one. I kind of just click and hope and pray. So I found one. I'm sorry, I don't know the name to it, but I'm sure you can find one. You just got to put in some time. All right, let's talk about this Magic roster here. Starting out at the point guard spot, of course, Elfrid Payton is not actually in 2K, so this is an auto-generated version of him. The one, I guess, unfortunate thing about, having to create the players from scratch is that typically their stats and things like that, their progression can be thrown off. So Elfrid Payton is an okay player. He's a nice role player. In all likelihood will be my starting point guard here in year 1, but will likely not be any sort of long-term solution here at the point guard position. We got him. We got CJ Watson behind him, DJ Augustine here as well. A couple nice veteran players. And then, yeah, you can't really avoid it. There's always going to be the auto-generated, not real people. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. We head to the shooting guard spot. You got Evan Fournier, who actually led this team in scoring. Now, he's 23 years old, is locked up on a long-term contract. Ends up being a pretty quality NBA player. He wasn't a star or anything like that, but, he's somebody that I'm going to kind of wait and see with, right? He's not going to ever turn into, the superstar that's going to lead this team to a championship, but he could be a nice role piece for us throughout this video. You got Jody Meeks here, 29 years old, 74 overall. Again, veteran player, decent role player for us. Is only on a 1-year deal. Certainly something we're going to have to keep in mind. Now, the small forward spot, Mario Hezonja. I'm almost 100% positive that is an auto-generated created Mario Hezonja. So we are going to see how his progression and his development goes. Of course, didn't really turn into anything special in the league. He got dunked on by Giannis once. Actually, he got jumped over by Giannis. No. Wrong way. Didn't he dunk on Giannis? I'm losing it. We got Jeff Green behind him, 30 years old, 1 year, $15 million. Certainly somebody we could look to move off of. Now, the power forward spot is going to be an interesting one because Serge Ibaka is here. He is tied for the highest overall on this team. He's 27 years old. That contract is probably not accurate, unfortunately. But he is also kind of blocking the minutes of 21-year-old Aaron Gordon, who is certainly somebody we're going to look to develop today. So big decision coming at that power forward spot. I don't know who Brooks Workman is. And then finally, Nikola Vucevic, who, is 26 years old, is having a fantastic season in real life. But, here in 2K, is he going to be the superstar that is the face of this franchise? Probably not, but unfortunately, he is the face of this franchise right now. So something we'll certainly sort out. Bismack Biyombo here, him in that disastrous contract. I'm pretty sure they signed him away from the Raptors at one point in time. But, yeah, we're going to have some work to do and certainly some decisions before we kick off year 1. Something just to note when I was going through pretty much all of these rosters, there's not a lot that jumps out at you. Just the says, this is terrible or this is tragic or this is wrong, especially in the ratings department. The one thing I will let you know is that once we get over here, this is pretty inaccurate, I would say. Jabari Parker, like a 90 overall. Something else here that you're going to see right off the rip is Derrick Rose is a 96. And this is pretty much MVP Derrick Rose overall. But unfortunately, he had been traded to New York at this point. His Chicago days were over. His MVP days were well over. And he was just nowhere near 96. So, considering, somebody actually puts in the time to make this and add all the players that are missing, I'm not going to sit here and complain about it if, Rose and Jabari Parker's overall are a little bit too high. It's something I can definitely live with. Just pretend that MVP Derrick Rose is on the New York Knicks. I don't know. Indulge yourself. I don't really care. All right, we're going to have a few moves before we kick off year one. I have decided the first trade that we want to make is going to come with the Denver Nuggets. Now, on paper, this one might not make a ton of sense because Serge Ibaka, as we mentioned in the intro, is actually tied for the highest overall on this team. And, when you're trying to win games, you typically don't want to trade away your best players. But given the fact that he is currently in front of Aaron Gordon and is a better player than AG is right now, going ahead and moving off of an expiring contract is not necessarily a terrible idea. So him and Jody Meeks both going to be entering unrestricted free agency this offseason, making the deal here with Denver, picking up Wilson Chandler and Kenneth Faried, who are both on multi-year deals. So Wilson Chandler will actually likely take over at the starting small forward spot. I guess there's an argument to maybe play the young Hazonia, but then again, this isn't actually Mario Hazonia. And then at the power forward spot, it's going to let Aaron Gordon kind of take over the starting reins. And then we do replace Ibaka there with Faried as the backup. So I'm fine with that. Again, multi-year deals are always great in my opinion. That is one trade down. Certainly have a few more to go. I think it's a pretty safe bet that we're not going to be very good this year. Now, I don't know if we're going to be 29 wins like the Magic were in real life this season, but we're not going to be a playoff team, and we're certainly not going to be contending at that. So going ahead and trading away some of our veteran players like a Jeff Green and a CJ Watson is certainly not the worst idea in the world, especially when we're getting draft capital as the trade that is coming back to us. So first round pick from Memphis in 2021, along with Troy Daniels, who does fit a need at our backup shooting guard spot right now. Kind of feels like a really solid move for us here in what I'm going to likely consider a throwaway season. So that's going to be it for our trades. Elfrid Payton is going to start. Augustine will be behind him. Again, my main goal heading into this first season is just to make sure we have a lot of flexibility heading into our first offseason, not only with salary cap space, but just given that we don't really have any expiring contracts. That was kind of my biggest goal. So we are all set. We have a 10-man rotation. Let's go ahead and set it. Okay, we ended up making 2 trades, and we are now ready to kick off year one here in Orlando. Here's how the rotation is going to look. Not really any surprises in the starting 5. It's going to be Elfrid Payton, Evan Fournier, newly acquired Wilson Chandler, Aaron Gordon now sliding into that starting power forward spot next to Mr. Nikola Vucevic. Now, the bench unit I wouldn't say is great. It's just not. There's not really a nicer way to say that. Of course, Kenneth Faried is not a traditional sixth man. He is a power forward. I am of the opinion that most sixth men should be guards or wings, but Faried's going to be fine here. Likely only going to be for one season that he is in this position. Mario Hazonia will be playing 18 minutes a night as the backup small forward again. I guess this is a throwaway season. At least that's what I'm considering it. So there's probably an argument to start him, but just given the fact that this is an auto-generated and auto-created Mario Hazonia, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to kind of bank on his development, which of course we know didn't really end up going very well in real life anyways. Biyombo is going to be the backup center. You got DJ Augustine here at the backup 1 and Troy Daniels, who we just got from Memphis, as the backup 2 guard. So yeah, it's not great, right? There's really no way to sugarcoat that. I expect to be likely picking pretty high in the 2017 draft lottery, and let's hope that this is our one and only bad season, and I'll see you guys at the end of it. The term not great would be an understatement for this season. We went 17-65. Of course, this team won 12 more games in real life than we did here in 2K, but honestly, I'm never one to complain about being pretty much the bottom of the barrel, right? I'm of the opinion that the worst place you can be is in the middle, right? You either want to be on, one end of the saw, if you will. You want to be really good or really bad. Russell Westbrook, he's your MVP. Embiid, Rookie of the Year. Lou Will, Sixth Man of the Year in LA. Draymond is your DPOY. Jokic, Most Improved. And then, I don't know who Todd James is, but apparently he has taken over for Brad Stevens, and he's your Coach of the Year. I think it's a safe bet that we are not going to be, in the playoffs fighting for that championship here in year one. We were the worst team in the East and actually make that the worst team in the NBA. All right, let's go over some of the numbers. Of course, we're going to have a lot of big decisions on pretty much everybody on this team. And as he did in real life, Elfrid Payton, Evan Fournier leads this team in scoring. Vucevic behind him, Wilson Chandler, Aaron Gordon, Hazonia, Payton, Daniels, Faried, Augustine, and then Biyombo. Rebounding department going to be Vucevic, and assists is Payton. Okay, that was dreadful. You know, I think this is a team that just doesn't quite have the star power. There's some nice role players with this group, but ultimately it's not enough. Steph Curry, he is your finals MVP. They beat the Celtics in 5 games, and now we are finally into the offseason where hopefully we just have a little bit more control of what we kind of want to do with this team. So Manu Ginobili is going to be getting his jersey retired. Okay, I'm just making sure this is all the same as it is in the normal Curry era rebuilds. Timeout, all-star captains, that's fine, and then Nike logo on every jersey. Okay, by far the biggest moment of this video for us so far. We are projected to have the #1 overall pick. Of course, the new lottery system where the top, or I guess bottom 3 teams all have the same odds has not been introduced yet. So we are the odds-on favorite to land the #1 overall pick. And we do. I will take that. 2K being nice to me today. That does not typically happen. Thank you very much. I don't know who Stephen Howard is. I believe, if I am correct, that Frank Vogel was the head coach of the Magic at this time. I don't think Stephen Howard's a real person, and he had a shitty season anyways. He's getting fired. Okay, there are certainly some names here. Quinn Snyder jumps out at me immediately just as, a real coach that obviously is, relatively successful. I see Doc Rivers here, of course, the former coach of the Orlando Magic, who once upon a time told Tim Duncan he couldn't take his family on the plane with him, and we all know how that ended. Mike Stauffer, of course, also here. I'm going to always throw an offer at him just because, again, he will likely accept it, even though if I don't want him as my #1. But if Quinn Snyder accepts, I'll likely take Quinn just because he's not a guy I get a lot. And then, really after that, I'm not... Oh, Jamal Mosley's here? That's pretty cool. Dave Yeager is here. That's not a name I've heard in a while. I think it's between those two. Quinn Snyder ends up... Actually, both of them accept. I get Stauffer a lot. I don't really ever get Quinn Snyder, so you know what? We'll just bring him in here today. And as we approach the 2017 draft, we're in a pretty good spot. The #1 overall pick is fantastic. We also have number 28 from the Raptors. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that is from in terms of a trade. Like, I don't think the Biyombo... Was it the Biyombo deal? I have no idea, because I thought the Magic just signed him as a free agent. Or was it the other? I have no fucking idea. I really don't. I'm not going to pretend that I do. Okay, we are going to go ahead and obviously keep the #1 overall pick. I mean, this is a pretty good draft class with, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. I mean, there's a lot of really good players here. Logically, I'm going to take Jason Tatum. It just makes the most sense. We obviously know how great Donovan Mitchell and Bam Adebayo and, a lot of these other guys turn out, but they're just not Tatum. So he's probably going to be my pick. Again, it is a position of need. So you know what? Fuck it. Let's go ahead and do that. But what I also want to do is see if there's maybe a way for us to move up from 28, because we also have a couple other picks that we're working with. And then how about if I include a guy like Troy Daniels? Like, can I move up to like number 15 or 14 or something like that? Just something that's just like mid-lottery. They want Tyson. No, I'm not giving up another first. There's just no way. All right, I could actually, well, shit, I should have kept that intact. All right, let's do a couple more seconds, and then let's go back to Miami. I'm assuming they'll probably take this. Thank you very much. All right, #1 overall, number 15 overall. Tatum is going to go 1-1, as he probably should have in real life, but again, teams had other ideas. All right, Jason Tatum, welcome to the team. And then as we sim up to number 15, I'm just hoping there's a real player here that's like a quality player. Jared Allen jumps out at me immediately. OG Anunoby, Hartenstein, these are all good NBA players. Dylan Brooks also sitting there as well. I don't think I need to draft another wing. According to our scouting department, Dylan Brooks is a 76, which would be pretty good value for drafting him at number 15, whatever the hell we're at. But I have a lot of wings on this team already. We just drafted, I guess, maybe the future face of our franchise. Of course, Wilson Chandler here, Mario Hezonja. So I'm going to probably stay away from the small forward spot, even if Dylan Brooks is a 76, which, again, these things are very much wrong all the time. But Jared Allen could come in and replace Bismack Biyombo. I think that makes a whole lot of sense for us. Again, position of need. It's going to be the guy I end up going with here, in my opinion. Best player still on the board. So welcome to the team, Jared Allen. 78 and 74 overall, respectively. Gordon, Peyton, Hezonja, all going to be brought back. Not the auto-generated players, even though we are in an unrealistic rebuild. So this free agency class is pretty similar how the one in the Curry era has pretty much always looked. That is, I guess, good because you don't want to ever really change anything there. It's funny seeing Derrick Rose, at such a crazy high overall. It's cool. Obviously I wish that the roster was perfect, but again, for somebody to go out and spend their time, actually doing this, to bring me back MVP Derrick Rose, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, I guess it's good and it's bad. It's funny to see. All right, we are going to likely make a trade. Again, I don't think we're really working with a lot in the cap space department, nor do I think, Curry, Durant, or even Derrick Rose would want to sign with us. So, let's get into some moves. For whatever reason, the Cleveland Cavaliers are willing to give me 2 first-round picks for Bismack Biyombo and his $17 million annual salary. Now, Biyombo is, I guess, an okay backup center option. He's nothing special, and ultimately him eating up $17 million a year is just not great. So we're going to dump him. I might have a free agency signing in mind. We're going to do something similar here with DJ Augustine. I still don't think we're close to enough money. Chris Paul is kind of the name that's jumping out at me. Right now we have about $22 million, and he, of course, is asking for about 34. So we can clear up another 12, 13, 14 million bucks, which, again, much easier said than done, is going to be pretty much a guarantee that we get him because he has no other offers. So I think maybe Kenneth Faried and or Wilson Chandler could make some sense to move because I do want to hang on to Fournier. I'd like to upgrade the shooting guard spot, but at worst, he could start. He was pretty damn good for us last year, so that's not the end of the world if we do have to hang on to him. It's just funny seeing, like, there's so many salaries here that are just nothing, like, super crazy, but just ultimately kind of the way it works, I guess, in this time period of the NBA. So Kenneth Faried and Wilson Chandler are fine role players for us. Ultimately, my main goal was just to kind of get draft capital back for them. And again, I know trading away good players on this team right now when we won 17 games last year might not be the best, but if it lands me Chris Paul, I'm certainly gonna take it. So I also could consider a deal here and maybe just take back like a player who's making a little bit less money than Chandler's current annual value. So like Karis LeVert, how bad would that be? Malik Beasley also sitting there. I think I'll take Karis LeVert. Now, does he have another year of team control after this? I'm hoping the answer to that is yes. Of course, I know how this works. What? I'm hoping the answer to this is yeah. Oh, he definitely does. He was a first round. Yeah, he has 2 more years. All right, we're going to do this deal right here. I don't know who the hell Pete Morgan is, but we're going to ship his ass out of here because, well, really, I have no second round picks I can trade. All right, I guess Pete Morgan is being held on to. And then Chris Paul, again, has no other offers, so I'm hoping he'll accept this, and he will. Beautiful. Welcome to the team. All right, welcome Chris Paul, obviously taking over at a point guard spot where there was a pretty big gaping hole. I'm excited about him, bringing hopefully some winning culture into this team. And I think at this point, we certainly have 4 out of the 5 starters locked up. The only argument maybe be to upgrade the shooting guard spot, but that's something we can also focus on maybe next offseason. So good at point guard. We are good at shooting guard. Honestly, pretty much good everywhere. So let's take a look at some power forwards that are still available here. Derek Williams, that's not the real Derek Williams. Anybody who's like relatively young? Not really. All right, Michael Beasley for a 2-year, roughly $5 million annually. That's fine by me if he wants to take it. And I'm intentionally keeping our first round pick next year because again, there's certainly the possibility that we are not. Not what I meant to do. That we are not, a super great team next season. I think we'll be fighting for a playoff spot, but who knows? See you guys at the start of year 2. I am very interested to see how this second season goes for us here in Orlando. Now, one side of me is saying that, hey, I think there's a possibility we may be sneaking into the playoffs as like a 6 or 7 seed, but another side of me is saying, there's just not enough here for us to even be close to anything special. So we'll find out. Let's see what Chris Paul can lead this team to. It's going to be him at the point guard spot, obviously Evan Fournier next to him. Tatum's going to be playing 33 minutes a night as the number 1 overall pick at our small forward spot. You got Gordon at the 4 and then Vucevic at the 5. I'm honestly surprised I'm not seeing much development out of Aaron Gordon. Now, he is going to be entering free agency this offseason, so we're certainly not going to let him go for nothing, but big decision to be made. Karis LeVert is developing quite nicely. He's going to take over 6th-man responsibilities. Michael Beasley, Elfrid Payton, Jarrett Allen, and then Mario Hezonja. So while the bench is not anything super special, it's definitely better than where we were just a year ago. And, of course, the same can be said about this starting lineup. So Chris Paul, carry us to the promised land. New head coach here in Quinn Snyder. And I'll just see you guys at the end of year number 2. I actually can't fathom the idea of seeing Steph Curry in any real jersey besides a Warriors, but I don't know, there's something off about seeing him in a Clippers jersey especially. Nonetheless, back to the important stuff. We had a pretty good second season, a season that maybe surprised me a little bit, and now looking back on it, maybe wishing I traded away my first round pick, because we won 54 games, which I didn't really see coming. Again, I knew we were at least hopefully going to be in the mix for one of the lower end playoff spots, but we might be in top 3. I don't really know. Curry's your MVP. Chris Boucher is really? I mean, no disrespect to Chris Boucher, but really? Dion Waiters is your 6th man of the year. We got Kawhi Leonard winning DPOY, Jahlil Okafor most improved, and Todd James, again, just leading the Celtics at 67 wins in back-to-back years. He's your coach of the year. So we are actually a 5 seed. Wow. Okay, well, 54 wins? Really? A 5 seed? I guess the Eastern Conference is a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. We would have been a 3 seed in the West, how the times they are changing. Here are the numbers. Chris Paul leading us in scoring at Nikola Vucevic, Jason Tatum. Not a terrible rookie season whatsoever. The shooting numbers are pretty good. The three-point percentage can maybe use a little bit of work, but it is what it is. Fournier, Gordon, Malik Beasley. What I think we really need is just like a really solid second option here for Chris Paul. So that's, of course, something we'll address in the offseason, but we do have a playoff run coming up, and who knows? We'll see what happens here with the Toronto Raptors in round one. Haven't really done anything major. They brought in Zach Randolph, but of course the backcourt of Lowry and DeRozan is still intact. So here goes nothing in round one. We split the first two on the road, win game 3 and game 4 at home, and we close them out in 5. And now we're moving on to the Celtics, who of course won 67 games in back-to-back years. I remember when I did my Celtics rebuild, I was like, fuck, I wish Avery Bradley was here. Of course he's here now, or, he's here now. Of course, this is a user-created version of Avery Bradley, who is, pretty damn good. I miss Avery Bradley. He was really fun. But the Celtics are good. There's no doubt about that. The Isaiah Thomas were some of my favorite times as a Celtics fan. Unfortunately, I'd like to beat them right now, and we're up 3-2. We're surprising the world right now, folks. We are on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and for the first time in this video, we have home court advantage in the playoffs because the 7-seed New York Knicks have gone on a bit of a Cinderella run themselves. Now, this is maybe, oh my God, this is maybe the downside of, allowing MVP Derrick Rose to remain here. Dylan Brooks, of course, Carmelo Anthony, Tingus Pingus, Joakim Noah. Yeah, I don't suspect this is going to, really? What? How are we in the finals right now? That Knicks team is a million times better than we are, and we're taking on Denver here in the NBA Finals. They have, of course, not opted to trade Yusuf Nurkic, but Jokic is obviously still really good. I mean, again, this is like the third series in a row where I'd say they're obviously a better team, but are we going to be able to get it? Chris Paul is unbelievable, leading this team to a championship, getting CP3 a ring, and getting us a ring here in just our second season as a 5 seed. Wow. Unbelievable. I am just curious. I want to look at the playoff stats as a whole. Chris Paul is fantastic. I mean, there's not a lot around him, right? Like, how often is it that a team wins a championship and their second leading scorer doesn't even average 14 points a game? That's kind of crazy to me. It really is. But we get it done, and I guess that's all that's important. I mean, again, I've had some loaded teams that haven't even gone to the finals in these videos, and I've, of course, had some that are probably not so deserving of winning it, but they do, so fine by me. Let's approach the 2018 draft. Of course, we do have our own first because we didn't trade it. It's not going to be in the lottery, but this is the Luka Doncic and Trae Young draft class. Of course, Quinn Snyder not going anywhere. Let's see what we are working with. We have 30. It is our own pick. That's fine. I'll just draft somebody. Maybe they play. Maybe they're a trade asset. Hopefully they're a real player. I mean, Mo Wagner's sitting here. Chimezie Metu, Shake Milton. So, ooh, Duncan Robinson's sitting here. Ooh, I completely missed this one. All right, Jalen Brunson's going to probably be a 70 overall. Again, I know he's not going to be anything special, but 71. Maybe a trade piece. We'll figure it out. LeVert and Peyton are both going to be brought back. We are going to qualify Aaron Gordon, and then yeah, we're not going to have a lot of money here in free agency. That's not really anything too unexpected. There might be 1 or 2 changes just because I don't like running it back. But in terms of anything major, I'm not going to really do anything crazy because, again, we just won a championship. So I'll see you guys with likely 1 or 2 smaller moves. Oh, okay. Well, we just pulled off a big deal with the Portland Trailblazers, and I wasn't really expecting to do that. But you know what? It's the final season. We had about 1 million draft picks, and can't take them with me, so might as well pull off a big blockbuster and land ourselves CJ McCollum. Now, he's a clear-cut upgrade at our shooting guard spot over Fournier. Is it needed? Probably not, but why not make a major change? Why not? He's clearly better. So, yeah, that's going to be it, and I guess I'll just see you guys at the start of year number 3. In terms of championship seasons, it would be hard for me to say last year was not a big surprise. I mean, we had a team that was decent, but nobody thought it was anything super special. At least I'm assuming that is what you all thought. Now, this offseason, we decided to make a major move, even after I told all of you that I was not going to do that. Of course, signing Aaron Gordon, of course, making the blockbuster trade for CJ McCollum. So him and Chris Paul are now paired up in the backcourt. Tatum developing nicely. Good to see Aaron Gordon going up in the overall department, and Vucevic is just pretty steady at that 81. Bench unit's pretty damn good. Karis LeVert, Michael Beasley, Jarrett Allen, Elfrid Payton, and Mario Hezonja. So, I'm going to say this team could easily go back-to-back. I didn't think that we'd have any chance of doing that entering last season, but here goes nothing, man. I think 2K has a little bit of a crush on this team. Not only did Chris Paul win the MVP award, but we set the best record in NBA history at 75-7. I don't know. I didn't see that one coming. Luka Doncic, he's in Portland. He's your Rookie of the Year. Yusuf Nurkic, sixth man. Kawhi, your DPOY. DeJounte Murray, most improved. And Quinn Snyder is your Coach of the Year. So, yeah, again, I didn't really see any of this coming. I knew this team was going to be good this year. I didn't think we'd be best record in NBA history good, but fine by me. All right, let's get into some of the numbers. Of course, CJ McCollum is now the leading scorer. Chris Paul is, I guess, a really good second option. Tatum, Gordon, Vucevic, LeVert, Beasley, Allen, Hazonia, and then Peyton. Rebounding department going to be Vucevic, and assists is Chris Paul. So running back the Eastern Conference Finals in round one, not exactly my favorite thing because that Knicks team, at least on paper, is pretty damn good. But if you win 75 games, you should be able to beat anybody. Now we're moving on to the Washington Wizards here, who are a rebuild that I want to do very, very soon. I intentionally delayed it because Bradley Beal was, of course, not on the roster. But now that we have a user-generated roster, we are going to go ahead and do them very, very soon. But I'd like to beat them right now, and we do just that. Sweeping them, we have yet to lose a game, and now here comes a team that I was surprised we have avoided to this point. Kyrie, LeBron, Kevin Love. Just a fantastic big three in a pretty dangerous team, if we're being honest. So we win game 3, win game 4, and can we get to the finals again? We can. And we are now taking on the Utah Jazz. Markelle Fultz, Alec Burks, Gordon Hayward. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that one's going to go Utah's way. At least I don't foresee that happening. We were up 3-1, and we closed them out in 5, and Chris Paul has officially won 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs. Well, I don't really know what to say. It was an interesting rebuild, to say the least. It was very surprising the way things kind of developed here with this team, but I'm never going to complain when 2K is nice to me because it does not happen very often. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I am, of course, open to any video ideas you guys want to see, so let me know anything and everything down below in the comment section. Good to be back. Happy making videos again. It was a nice 2-week break, but good to be back into the swing of things. So that's it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.